This is the query store module, and in this video we are discussing about the reports provided by the query store. Query store provides the reports which give us the large part of the information that DBA or performance analyst need. If we are going to build ourselves these reports, it will be not easy, and it will be a complex and time consuming part. And these are the reports provided by the query store: regressed query report, and overall resource consumption report, top resource consumption queries, queries with forced plans, query with high variation, and tracked queries. The regressed query reports give us the queries that have been regressed over the time. The regressed query is that query which have received a new execution plan that it had before. This new execution plan may be the worse than the before. The new plan is created due to many reasons, because maybe the because of the parameter sniffing, maybe the index have been created or altered or dropped, or statistics have been changed. So in these regressed query reports, we will see these kinds of queries in the incoming demo. And the second report is the overall resource consumption report. This overall consumption report give us the summary of the runtime statistics during a specific period of time. These aggregate statistics give the overview of the query performance which DBA or performance analyst needs. So like this is the some result given by the overall resource consumption report. And here we can see during some particular time, the time which I will select, it will give us during that time the total execution, how during this time how many times the execution counts, and this is another interval of the time, and this time how many executions counts, and how many times took the queries during this time interval, what is the CPU usage during this time interval, and how many logical reads during these times intervals, and the total logical writes how many, and total physical reads how many. So these are all the columns we can change according to the criteria, but this gives us the overall resource consumption. And there is another report, top resource consumption queries. This report gives the most expensive queries during a specific time interval. The resource consumption dimensions may be these can be a duration, CPU, memory, input output, or number of execution time. Like this is the top resource consumption query, and it's giving us that this chart. This chart is the dimensions are this total duration. During a specific time period, the total duration for this is this much. So we will see in the demo how to change this matrix and how to analyze this one. And there is another report provided by the query store, that is the queries with high variation. This report analyze queries with high execution variation. It relates to the available dimensions. The dimensions may be the duration, CPU time, input output, and memory usage in the desired time interval. So by using this report, one can identify the queries with widely variant performance that can affecting the user experience across the applications. Like this is the sample of this query with high variation report, and this will show like this query. I have this green color query is selected, and it's showing the variation with respect to the duration. Mean this duration, this is the variation, and this took this much duration. This is the same query is with different durations, time durations took. So we will see in the demo this report as well. And tracked queries report is used to track the execution of the most important queries in real time. This query basically used to view the queries, regressed queries, where we have forced the plans, and we can track those queries for which we have forced the plans. That's how is the performance is now. It's still stable or not. we can check the performance of the forced queries by using this tracked queries. So let's move to the SQL Server Management Studio and we will check these reports there. This is the SQL Server Management Studio for SQL Server 2017, and this is our example database. And here we enable the query store and configure the query store in the last video. And now we will give some workload. We will execute the workload and we will see the status of the reports. And if we want to see the is this query store feature is enabled or not, we can execute this query, and this query will give us the query store enabled status for all the databases. So this is our example database, and for this query store is on. So now we will give the workload. This is our example database, and I will execute these queries, and after that I will see the reports. So these queries are executing, and after completion I will go to the reports, and I will see the status of those reports. I will check from those reports the performance of the queries and how much is the overall resource consumption. So I will check from there. So the queries are executed successfully, and I will go into the query store. This is the our example database, and here we enable the feature of the query stores in the last video, and we configured the query stores, and this is the configuration which we did in the last video, and after 1 minute the data will flush from the memory to the disk. So let's see the reports. This is the regressed query report. If I will double click or I will right click on this one, it will give us the those queries which have the plans for which the plans have been changed. When we one query have the more than one plans, and the plan is the maybe the words which we have now, but there is nothing like this one, and we will create a query to show this demo, but we will see the next report for the overall resource consumption, and this is the overall resource consumption, and this is the configuration. We can change the configuration. This configuration time interval is I selected the that I want to see only for the last hours what are the overall consumption. So this I have set it, and the chart is created for the execution count, duration, CPU time, and logical rates. We can, if we want to see more charts, we can select these metrics also, but right now the defaults, I will go with the default selections, and this is the chart view. Here will be the bar charts, and this is chart is for the execution counts. Mean this is at 9:40 the execution count is this much. If we will go to the detail, this is the showing that at 9:40 there are 6 execution count, and time duration is 29.54. CPU utilization is this much milliseconds, and logical reads are during this time this much. It's giving the overall uh, resource consumption, and this is the execution count consumption, and this is the by duration, and this at 10:05 this much times took to execute the queries, and this is chart by duration, and this is by the utilization of CPU. How much is the utilization of CPU at 10:05? This much is the utilization of CPU. This is the time interval between this time. There are the 4 execution count, and CPU utilization is this much 336 to 6.31. So we can add more charts if we need, like if I want to go and check the how much many are the degree of parallelism during this last hours, if there is any parallelism, and if I will see, so this is degree of parallelism is, it's showing that the degree of DOP is 6 for this one, and for this one the DOP, degree of parallelism, between this interval, this at 10 is the 43. It's 43. So we can add these more metrics, and we can check with these charts also, and we can see by using the grid also. This is the total execution time between this interval. This is the time interval. During this time interval, the total execution count is this much, and total time duration is this much, and CPU utilization in this much milliseconds, and this is the total logical reads and the writes, and this is physical reads. So between that duration, the degree of parallelism is this much, and the 43 degree of parallelism is during this time. This is the for the last hour resource consumptions. It's showing only the summary runtime statistics during the interval which I selected. And if I will go into the chart, if I want to see the details by query wise, I can also see by query wise. For example, if I want to see the execution count by query wise, I will select this, I will click this one, and it will give me the query by query. So there was some error came, but now it's solved, and this is the overall resource consumption report, and this is showing the overall consumption. And if you want to check query by details, we can click here, and it will take us to the details related to the. So this is the details. This is query by query, and this is the query which query has the ID 21, and its execution count is 4, and this the plan count is only 1. This query has only one plan. There is no history of the plans, and so if we can change the dimensions also. This graph is showing by the execution count. If we want to change by the plan count, I want to see the any query have more than one plans. No, all the queries have only one plan until now. There is no any query which have more than one plan. So we can change the dimensions also. This is by execution count, and this is the we can change the matrix also. This query which I selected, this is the query ID 21, and this query ID have the plan ID 22, and the query text is this one. This is the query text, and the execution plan is this for this query. And like this, I will select another query, and it will show the execution plan for that query. And like this, I can analyze the matrix also, and this plan also, and from the plan I can see the plan and the flow of the data, and I can find the expensive operators from this plan or the blocking operators. So in this one window I can do all the query analyzation and performance. So this is the wonderful feature provided by the Microsoft SQL Server. And if I will change this metric, I want to see not by execution count, by duration in the milliseconds. So this query which I selected now, it's showing here the now by duration. So this query plan ID is 22, and this query has the total duration 0.74 millisecond. 0.74 milliseconds. So if I will select another query, and this query has the duration total duration 9.79 milliseconds, and this is the plan for the query. I can study the plan, I can analyze the plan, and I can find out the costly operators, and is there any operator which is blocking by sitting here. And here is the matrix. I can select any one of these. If I want to see the which query have the logical reads, how many reads, logical reads. So I will select this metric, and now this query which have the ID uh, 21, and this query has the logical read more than 384 and less than 386. Let's see the detail. These total logical reads are in 384 kilobytes. These are in the kilobytes. So this is giving me that in this particular time which I have selected. In that time, this is the time scale, and in this time the logical reads was 384 kilobytes for this query which have the ID 21, and this is the plan for this query. So this is giving me the details by query wise. I can check by overall, and I can check the details by query wise also. So the next report is the top resource consuming queries. If I will select this report, and this report will bring the data from the query store, which is saved permanently in the query store. And this report is showing me top 25 resource consumers queries for this database. And if I want to change this parameters, I can change the duration. I can change the, I don't want top 25, I want to analyze only top 5. I can change the top 5. It will give me only the top 5 queries. And this is the by duration, how much for this query. This is the query ID 12. These are the query IDs. This query ID has the total duration is this much in milliseconds, 19972. So this is the top query by resource consumption by duration wise. And this second query is duration is this much, and this is the plan for this query. And this query is taking my time at this time. And if I want to change this metric, I can change the matrix. I want to see by the top resource consuming query by logical reads. If I want to see by logical reads, so this is the query ID 8. It has the maximum logical reads during this time, and the total reads are this much, 3271208 kilobytes. So during this time, which time interval which I have selected, and this is the time interval that this query has the maximum logical reads. And these all the metrics are available. I can if I want to see the degree of parallelism by this metric, which query is using more DOP. So this is the query ID 55, which have the degree of parallelism 16. I can check from the plan. I can analyze should we need this much parallelism or not. Maybe this is not good. So I can concentrate on this parallelism, and I can review the queries, and this is the variations. And if I will seek this execution count, and the plan is not forced and it's completed, and here is the degree of parallelism is 1, and here is the degree of parallelism is 3 when this query is executed. And this time this is the degree of parallelism, and here is the degree of parallelism is 7. This is the 7. So it's showing by the plan summary for query 55, and this query has the degree of parallelism above 8. Yeah, its total DOP is 9, and this is the history for this query number 47 when this degree of parallelism is changed. So this is, we can analyze like this by changing the matrix also. So we will go now to the next report, and the next report is queries with forced plan. We still not have any query which have for which we have forced plans. All the queries have only one plan. We will give over workload again. We will execute the workload again, and we will see then this regressed query and queries. We will force the plan in this. And now this report is queries with high variations. It will give us the, this is the query ID 55, which is showing the high variation duration, and this the metric is duration. It's showing by the duration variations. So the metrics for this high variations query are available by CPU time. If we will select the CPU time, so this we can analyze queries with high execution related to the CPU time. So this is the query ID 55. This query ID is as the average CPU time is 1.95 and variation is 4.5, and these are the variations for this 55 query. This, if I will see, this is the variations for any particular time. This is the, here is the total CPU time is 46.65, and if I will select for the same query, here is the total CPU time is 2.86. So these are the variations are coming. Here is 4.86, here is 2 point something. So this metric is showing the high variation of that queries, which is by using the where is the CPU time is different. So this is the metric is CPU time. So by using this all metrics, we can find out, we can analyze the queries with the high execution variation according to this matrix. So if I will select the which as per logical reads, which query has the high variations, and this is the query number 65, which have the ID 65, and there is no variations. And this query, but this query also have the, this is the, there is no much variation because it's all are on this on the scale is this near to the this 0. So but this query has two plans. And so we can analyze by using these reports those queries with high execution variations as per these metrics which are available here. And so this we can identify the query with widely variant performance with this query. So these are the reports, built-in reports, which are giving us all the this runtime statistics, which is very easy for the DBR for performance analyst to analyze the query performance by sitting only in this one window.